Show number 4. Missing Tory. He might roll through a little bit later. I don't know, man. He might come through. We'll see what's up. We got Trey back this week, man. We missed you, bro. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man.
He was gone. Y'all celebrated a little anniversary last time, huh?
Yeah, man. 6 years, man.
Shit, man. That's a blessing.
Past that 5-year itch, boy. You had 6 years. You official. Yeah.
Like a
It's a 7-year itch, man.
Yeah,
it's the 7th.
My man Will, he's off the walker this week.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah,
you know
I'm not a paraplegic
Did you
today.
bring the third leg? You ain't got the third leg?
No, I'm being grown today, bro. I'm being grown today.
What's up, man? Anybody had anything interesting going on this week? Well, y'all some boring ass.
Oh
niggas.
yeah.
Hey,
listen, man. In reference to what we do, I had one of my partners reach out to me for a friend of theirs who came out of a little negative situation with a dude, and it was encouraging to hear her faithfulness. You know, I was just impressed. I told her I'd turn on to a few things and, you know, help out how I can, but it was just her whole faith walk that was impressive to me. You know, because when you jump out here thinking that things are going to be one way and people take that from you and now you don't have a place to go, you're not working, you know what I'm saying, that can be kind of traumatic. But it was just her strength in knowing that, you know, no matter what come at me, I'm good. You know, so that was enlightening for me, because we go through it and sometimes we know we can handle it, we take it. You know, but when you hear it come from somebody else, it's just let you know that you're not by yourself in these struggles, for sure.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So, what up, Ivan, man? How you doing, bro?
Man, you know, just the everyday struggle, man. Going to work. Son was on his little spring break. You know, you got to follow the court order. You know what I'm saying, on your visitation.
Wow.
You know, I can't just go get him when I want to get him. You know, I wish I could. So
it's gonna change, bro. We're gonna pray for it, for real.
I hope so.
That's
so
gonna change.
He's been with her now for the last 2 weeks. I seen my son for the first time within the last 2 weeks yesterday.
Man.
Yeah. And the sad part about it is the 2 weeks he's been gone, there's clothes I got at my house he can't fit no more. He's grown. And then he's lost his 2 front teeth. So you miss your son's 2 front teeth coming out, and he's grown since you was last seen him. And his vocabulary has gotten stronger. He's using words, and his speech is even more clear than when I seen him 2 weeks ago. So you can see his progression. But you know, it's just that sadness that you get, you know, from the fact that you don't see him constantly in the same house, and you get to, you know, nurture that growth. You know what I'm saying? You just get a moment of time, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Outside of that, man, just been grinding at work. Oh, yeah, you know your boy couponing now.
Oh, shit.
Couponing. Yo, shout out to Star. Yahura Duke, I appreciate you for putting your boy on them coupons. Y'all make sure I look at the camera, and she fine as hell, too. God, that girl is
So
fine.
your house is just stacked to the ceiling with detergents and
waters.
waters?
I got detergents mama in my washroom, bro.
You gotta turn me on, bro.
Arm & Hammer had the sale at CVS this week, dog. $1.97 for Arm & Hammer detergent, and I had a $1 off coupon. I got about 8. I got about 8 Arm & Hammers right now, and then prior to that, your boy had picked up some All detergent. All was going now. Retail All is like $7. Now, $7. They was on sale at Walgreens for $2.99. and then I had the coupon every second. All is $2 off. So I wiped them out on that, and Snuggle was $2.99.
So buy one, get one free, pretty much.
Basically, you buy,
Snuggle baby.
yeah. So, bro, I spent $30, bro, and I got what 20 snuggles.
Clean them out.
Bruh,
The shirt soften them out.
20s and
Right.
Room
all,
smelling
bro.
good.
So I'm waiting on Star to give me my next round of coupons on Monday from this Sunday's paper, and I'm gonna hit them again. I'm stinging them, baby.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
All right. Hey, by the way, we are doing a detergent giveaway for all interested viewers. Hey, after you get 10 subscribers and 10 emails, you get a free bottle of all.
There it is.
Oh yeah, and y'all gotta buy one of my raffle tickets I'm selling
Yeah.
for the brothers. We got raffle tickets going, $5 a piece. You buy a raffle ticket though, you get all the crowns except for that one you was telling me about the single barrel or whatever.
Yeah, the single.
But you get XO Reserve, XR, regular crown. You get a handle of the regular crown, maple, vanilla, apple, all of them, bro.
Yeah.
All of them. So
Crown
I'll let
Royal
you,
That's my
Smoke,
drink
huh?
of choice, you know.
man.
All right.
I'll let you.
So, what's going on in the news, man? What we got going?
Man, dog, y'all heard about that deal out in Washington? Washington,
It's
D.C.?
a lot of shit going on out there. What's going on?
Oh, bro, it's how many? 501 missing
Oh,
juveniles.
Right, yeah.
All
yeah.
girls.
They all young black girls.
Yeah, and
the-
Latinos.
In Washington, D.C.?
In Washington, D.C. within the last 3 months,
Few
yo.
months, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 501. They don't know where they at. They ain't finding them. I think they still in Oregon.
They still in Oregon, bro.
That's
what's-
Oregon hard.
They just found the guy. They found a dude, one of the kids in that
teenagers.
river.
Yeah.
They found one of the kids, young black kid, 14, in the river. Dog, all his organs
Oregon's
missing.
gone. One kid they found in the school gym. He was wrapped up in the
Mummified.
Tarp.
in that
In the
tarp.
tarp.
He was wrapped up in the tarp, and his body was stuffed with newspapers. Took all his organs out, cleaned them out, fellas. Cause y'all know that boy. What's his name? Rockefeller. He died
Yeah,
at 101 years old.
Right.
That dude had 4 kidney transplants.
And 2 heart transplants.
You
And don't it
understand?
normally take years?
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
get,
That
to
wait
get
list
an organ
long.
It's
transplant?
like one to
Yeah,
five
$3
years on
longer
average
than
for
that,
liver
bro.
and kidney. I mean, on average.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
waiting on them kidneys, bro.
Hey, he looked like a vampire.
You understand? He dead now.
Bless his heart, though.
But man, I ain't even gonna say that about him, man.
That's like
dude
that.
was something.
Y'all ever seen that movie
Tell you about
Teresa?
that die, you know what I'm saying?
It was like Americans was like going down to Brazil, like for vacation, spring break, and things like that, and they were kidnapping them.
I think I
And
did
they're still
see
in the
that.
organs, man.
Hey,
So,
hey, let me tell y'all something. Watch your kids, man. Keep them close, man.
got to.
Well, I think I seen it they doing it in India too, where they selling organs online.
Mhm.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
that, and I was telling y'all when we was on the camera, they got that dark web, man.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
get on there and buy an organ.
Right.
You dig
Right.
what I'm saying? Yo, it's real out
For
here.
501, hey,
501.
parents better watch your kids.
We talking about in a few months.
Hey, that's what I'm talking
Within
about.
3
That's an
months.
alarming rate.
That is an
Within
extreme.
So are they
Yeah.
trying to do anything about it? Has there been any
They had
press
some little- they had a
conference
town
or
hall meeting, you know
state
what
of
I'm saying?
emergency address or
But-
something?
Nah, man, ain't nothing.
Here
ain't
we
nothing
go with
serious
all
about
that,
Okay,
all that
but
meeting.
don't
I
let
get so
one of
sick
them
of
get snatched
meetings.
up is a whole different story,
Do
right?
something.
Man,
Quit meeting. Do something.
And they were all
Bless his soul,
minorities,
but don't
too,
let
so-
it be old Benet.
shot.
They'll have the city turned out. Everybody be on the news.
They had
Slide
dogs
under the
out
road.
there,
Yeah.
helicopters. Man,
Shout out to Barack Obama's Obamacare, the Affordable Health Care Act. It made it through.
Still standing.
They
Tag.
still standing. They could not get rid of it, even with the Republicans controlling the House and the
Right.
Senate. I think it had a lot to do with just people was pissed off about them trying to get rid of that.
Yeah.
There was a petition going around. I don't know if y'all brothers seen it, where they was petitioning people to stop the Congress from having health care.
Not only that, but they said if that law, for some reason, passed, about 3 million people who were covered under Obamacare that were Republicans would not now no longer have coverage.
Wow.
So when your constituents telling you, hey,
Chill that out.
you need to change your mind,
Chill that out.
even though Trump do what the hell he want to do.
I'm hopeful that Trump becomes a lame duck president. I really am, man. Because all of his ideas is just backwards. I haven't heard anything that I liked hearing from the guy. You know?
Yeah, a couple
I
good
just, I
ones.
just think he had a misunderstanding of what the president
Yeah.
is.
Is.
Like, I
Definitely.
think that
Yeah,
he thought
definitely.
that he could do a lot more things than he's actually capable of doing. and now he's starting to see that he can't just do anything that he wants to do. So
On that note, while he's been tweeting, 2 bills reached the floor of Congress, H.R. 861 and H.R. 899. H.R. 861 is to terminate the Environmental Protection Agency. Basically, no more environmental. Yeah, it's done. You understand? H.R. 99 will terminate the Department of Education. So they're going to just end
Oh, so that means we ain't got to pay back our student loans?
Nah, they ain't say that now.
Oh,
You know they ain't
shit.
going to let you get away
But-
with that. Them banks
but-
hold that money.
but what's the criteria in that? Like when they're dealing with
It's
that, is it
just
like,
one sentence.
But it's so
it's one sentence
yeah,
that's on it.
it's so
Basically,
broad, though.
this bill will terminate the Department of Education. This bill will terminate the EPA.
But will those pass with them being so broad? You know what I mean?
You know, you can always add to it. And
Yeah.
they amend it and all of that, but they trying to get rid of them.
Yeah,
They get rid of the EPA, man. That's real scary.
yeah.
But are they looking to replace them? Because I know a lot of his programs, he wanted his own moniker on them. So a lot of the programs that are already in place, he's trying to get rid of them and then change it to something that's similar to or exactly like with a different name.
We'll see. We'll see. Another thing, Trump has a new budget that he's going to introduce where he's going to end Meals on Wheels. Good God have mercy.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is.
All them elderly people that's getting meals from Meals on Wheels that can't even afford to eat, he going to end that. While this man is
Because
going out.
he got his hand in Uber Eats.
While he's going,
Is
yeah, right.
Is that what it is? Uber Eats?
While he's going out,
That's
going
what it
on-
is, bro.
Going to Florida, they call it the second White House. He got a little vacation home in Florida he goes to, and every time he goes out there, I think it's like $10 million for security and all that to take care of this man while he's down at the second White House because he don't want to stay. And then in D.C. and then his wife is still living in
She
New
in
York.
New
And
York,
they gotta pay all of them millions for her to stay in New York with that
With the security
that
and
little
detail.
rich bastard child. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculousness. But shout out to Colin Kaepernick again. We shouted him out yesterday. You know, my man he said he ain't gonna take the knee no more. But you know that ain't gonna give him no kind of play because he still can't find a job. Nobody picked him up yet. They blackballing the man.
Did you hear about recently they said he secured a plane to send
To
what
Somalia.
60 tons of food
Yeah,
to Somalia?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
So, I
he's
mean,
donated 80,000,
Right,
I think
so I mean-
700,000.
something like that to Meals
he
on Wheels.
said he wanted to do a million
Right.
within 10 months. He already donated 400,000
Right.
since the time he said it. So
So if nothing more, I commend him.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Because
To do all
that's
this with no
Somebody
job
that's putting,
to do all
they
this?
putting the work behind their words.
Yeah.
Right,
Not
absolutely.
only that, that's a test of character because when you're in a position where you're not earning, but you're still spending, that must be a
For
cause.
somebody else's betterment.
Better,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. That's the cause that's true to your heart.
He stood on his word.
Yeah, I gotta give a shout out to anybody doing that, man. You know, and that's something I was saying us in the group too. You know, we gonna be out here in these streets. You know, this is not just circle, a bunch of guys getting around on some old Dr. Umar, yeah, I'm coming at you, bruh. We ain't on no Dr. Umar talking about we gonna build a school over the and been talking that gang for the last 10, 20 years. Love you, Pianki, but your nephew said we ain't out here just dropping a whole bunch of, you know, historical facts, and we ain't out here in the community actually doing something. You're gonna see us out here at the shelters. You're gonna see us out here dropping off packages at the
Under
abused
the
women's shelters.
bridges.
You're gonna see us, like you were saying the other day, we'll pick up a couple hot and readies at Little Caesars and drop them off. You know, this is just not a bunch of cats that's in a circle having some drinks, smoking cigars, just talking a bunch of nonsense out the side of their neck. We out here. Believe that.
And anybody who need our support, nonprofit, especially when it's helping the community, send us a request. We'll gladly review any request and see if our time permits, and not necessarily our time, but see if it's something that we can accommodate with our schedules. But we're wide open to everything, so definitely give us a shot because about 90% out of 100 is something that we're willing to get into. A justifiable cause, which means not a cause for me or you or them, but a cause for us.
Right. If you want to reach us, you can reach us at thecircleshow360@gmail.com.
There it is.
So what's up, man? That's it. You ready to move
that's what
on?
we got,
Hey,
man,
I
you
heard
know?
that Kendrick Lamar was on fire.
I can't wait to hear that album.
Hey, that
I mean,
mug
I
bang,
mean,
man.
I
It's
That
just a
bang.
song. It's messages or something.
I heard he was coming at Jay-Z throat too.
April
said
the
something
7th,
about
they
Jay-Z
said,
on there.
Yeah, April the 7th, that's what he said, April 7th.
Man.
So, hey, and then I seen that old Rick Ross, man. He coming at Birdman. He ain't coming at him, but he kicking some facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what he talking about, man. You know, Rick, man. I mean, I like his flow. I mean, he gets me, you know, in that hustler mentality mood. But you know, I ain't got respect for the guy, man. When he talking about he used to do this and that, and I seen pictures of you as what was he, a guard at the jail?
He was
or
a
something?
turnkey.
Yeah, he was
But
correction
me
officer.
You ain't
personally,
live that life.
that's what
bruh.
I respect the most. You know what I mean? When you are able to multitask, and how deep he was, I can't say, but I do know a lot.
He wasn't.
Man,
That's the whole
he
thing.
was an actor,
Cats
man.
exposed
Hey,
him.
hey,
He was telling other cat stories.
I wasn't there, so
And then you,
Yeah, he
you
telling
let-
other
then you-
cat stories.
Then you let 50
all I can say to do make
drag
some
you
good
in the
music.
mud like that.
Hey,
I
he makes some
mean,
good music.
Hey,
but you think about it. What's worse, somebody who glorifying the street life or somebody who glorifying who didn't actually live it? You know what I mean?
With me personally, I say that glorifying anything that's gonna help you get paid is worth it.
I want you to talk about what you know, though.
Right.
If you live that
Yeah.
life, then talk about it.
But
If
you
don't
know
live
what,
that
though?
life, just
But
leave it alone.
it's a
all-
way to talk about it too
Hey,
without glorifying. You know what I mean?
But he glorifying and he ain't live that life.
Right.
And then he ain't talking about
called perpetrate.
he don't talk about the consequences and the
Right.
repercussions
That's
of your
what
actions
that's
when
what
you're
I'm
doing
saying.
that.
Because
You know what I'm saying?
that's what I mean by glorifying. If you don't talk about the other side, then that's glorifying.
Yeah, get these
Because
folks the
it's
whole
not all
story.
good, man.
Right.
It's not all good.
I'm not even a fan of that music though. I'm gonna ask Martin, Rick Ross.
But you know what, man? That's a perfect segue, man, to our topic this week.
But look
you
at
know,
it. He started off as Rick Ross. When the real Rick Ross got out, now he Ricky Rose. You know, when nigga make you change your name, dude, you ain't official.
Yeah.
Right. All I know is Aston Martin music. Hey, you go in the club, you put on that Aston Martin music, smoke one. I don't even smoke, but I gosh damn, that bitch make me want to smoke one. Excuse me.
All right, man. Into the topic, man. I feel like that was a pretty good segue. So this week, you know, we wanted to talk about something that I think a lot of black people can relate to one way or the other, and that is moving away from the hood considered selling out, and are you selling yourself short by staying? So, what you think, Monty? What's your feelings on this whole situation?
I think once you do move out the hood, it's definitely a sellout situation. But who are you selling out to? That's the real question. Are you selling out yourself? Are you selling out those who are dependent on you? Are you selling out your children by staying? Who are you really selling out to? I believe when you position yourself to move out of the hood, or the so-called hood, you've already enclosed yourself into an environment which may not be necessarily progressive to the situation you want to be in. When you position yourself to move out of the so-called hood, then you're positioning yourself to create another so-called hood, because you're opening environments that typically weren't accessible or even allowable to people of your position, or else it wouldn't be considered selling out. Anything that's new is always going to be foreign to those who haven't made it yet, or who haven't decided to make that decision. So, to bring it back all the way full circle, no, I don't think it's selling out to anyone except for yourself if you do decide not to, because there's opportunities that are available to sometimes improve your particular situation and maybe even bring it back to the so-called hood or to the environment in which you're from to help them develop situations that may be better on a physical note than what they currently are. That's how I feel. So nah, I don't think it's selling out at all.
Right on. And for the record, man, nobody here in the room, except maybe the engineer, live in the hood right now. But yeah, we pretty much some suburban ass niggas, really, for the most part. Yeah, I mean, what you think about the situation?
You know, for us to understand the whole idea of moving out the hood, we have to understand what took place historically to get us to this point. And what took place is the Civil Rights Act, when we were able to move and get bused to white folks' schools. When we was able to drink out the same waterfront. When you got rid of places like, what's the name of that movie with the Outcast? They was in it. What was it called? Idlewild was actually a park in Michigan, where it was like Cedar Point or Six Flags, where black folks would go and they would relax and have fun. It was an amusement park. Now, when we ended up integrating, those black businesses and black communities ended up failing. And the main reason for that, it started, and I talked to an old head about this probably a couple weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, is that what they did is when the first thing they did was they started busing the kids to school, to them white schools. But they didn't just bus any kid to them white schools. They bust the brightest and the best. And what you do when you take the brightest and the best out of the community, what that does is it gives all of the other kids that would be looking up to those individuals as a guiding light and direction, they no longer had that guiding light. They no longer had that person where they're like, well, Monty is good at math. Monty, I need to strive to be like Monty. I need to get, my grades to where Monty's is, or I could go to Monty and he can help me with my homework. So now they got Monty going out here to Compel, Texas, or Frisco, Texas to go to school, and I'm still out in South Dallas. You dig? So now Monty's out here in Frisco and South Dallas with all of these other kids, but what they gonna do to Monty is they gonna tell Monty, oh, well, you're doing good, but you're not as good as him. Even though your grades might be great, they still gonna make it where Monty is feeling like he's still subpar or substandard to all these other white kids in the class, or he's just average now. He's not great now. He's no longer the shining light now. He's the small fish in a big pool. You understand? So I mean, I think currently I can see why brothers and sisters are moving out of the hood, why we going, we want to leave the ghetto. I mean, it's gotten to the point where it's been so degenerated to where we like, I don't want to live in this situation no more. They shooting and there's crime and it's all of this ignorance around us. So we're just moving. I mean, in Detroit, black folks is getting the heck out of Detroit like crazy. But as we keep leaving, what we're seeing is something that's called gentrification. And all the white folks is coming in all them abandoned houses that we left. They did it out there in New Orleans. They did it in New Orleans. When they had that dog on them levees broke, when they blew them up. Sorry, it's a conspiracy, but it's the truth. When they blew them levees up, what they did is they took all the white folks and they started buying all that land. You go to New Orleans, I heard it don't even look the same. Last time I went to New Orleans was before the hurricane. I need to go back so I can see what it looked like now. But they say it's nice out there. They done turned it all around. So, are we selling out, moving out there? I say yes. I say yes, we are. Yes, we are. Am I selling out by living in Carrollton? Yes, I am. Yes.
Well, I know, one reason a lot of us want to move out of certain situations is because of the school system. The school system in the suburbs is perceived to be better education, better opportunity, better programs. So you kind of feel that pressure, I hear what you're saying. You make a good argument. But what do you say to those people who want to move their family to a nicer neighborhood so they can have better opportunities for their kids in school? What you think, Trey?
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. And to kind of transition from that, with the schools, you got to think about your stability and your income and your jobs. So if we look at Dallas, let's take Dallas for instance. Where are all the jobs located? On the north side of the city.
Right.
Like the lower income or like I would say, median income, that's either from downtown or the south side of the city. And there's not really too many jobs. All the corporations are moving out north. You got McKinney, Frisco, Carrollton, Louisville, Irving, and these are not what you would call, the hood. So if you want to better yourself, or let's say if you get employed by one of these corporations, you want to drive that far each and every day dealing with traffic, and then also you can say, well, you know what, let me move to that neighborhood so I can be closer to my job and I can get a better education for my children. So, it's kind of a catch-22. You can look at it as selling out, but I feel like if you're not teaching the people that, you grew up with, or even going back to your community and educating them on ways to better themselves, and I think you are selling out. But if you are going back and you're talking to the right people and you're trying to make a change, I don't think you're selling out at all. So that's my stance on it.
What about you,
I
Big
think,
Will?
first of all, when you talk about betterment and growth and moving into these urban areas and upscale areas. Make sure your kids are prepared for that change.
Strong
Because even though they do have a stronger school system, your kids are being held to a much higher level. And if you don't have them prepared, you're setting them up for failure. I had no idea. I'm old school, you know. I had young kids and at an older age, and my son, we moved out in Frisco, and my son started kindergarten. I'm thinking like, hey, it's gonna be finger painting and ABCs. Oh no,
No, sir.
they coming home with homework.
Right.
I'm like, what kind of satanic crap is this? You know, y'all creating some doggone, you know, mad scientists or something.
Right.
Man, listen, I had to get my son 2 tutors, 7 miles of home. It was like doing a job, getting him prepared just for kindergarten, because they have groups that start preparing your kids before they hit kindergarten. It's stuff you need to research deeper than just, oh, their school ratings. No, see what the actual criterias are, because if Johnny or Tammy cannot function at the level that they need to in order to stay current with these other kids, it makes no sense. You can put them in a better environment and a beautiful home in a quiet neighborhood, but they behind still gonna be, you know, substandard unless you get them prepared.
And,
That's a good point.
and you know what I've noticed, having a son that's in the first grade, and his friends' names are Ramesh, Khalid, something. I can't remember all their names. It was hard to pronounce names. These little Indian children are his friends. You know, he's got one Hispanic friend and one white friend, and the rest of these Indian kids, they talking about terraniums and the water cycle and evaporation in the first grade and stuff like that. And I'm sitting here having this scientific discussion with these kids in the first grade at lunch with them, you know, and I'm like, man, these kids is on some other level, you know what I mean? But I feel that where we fail as a people is that we aren't taking the time out with our children to have those types of discussions with them at home. We're not prepping them. We're not having discussions about the water cycle and the environment, or using larger words. We're kind of, you know, we get into our little thing. Okay, you play your video games, and you know, I'm over here doing, you know, my thing, and we, instead of us getting together and saying, you know what, there's this little thing like you took your kids to, I was telling you about, where they had this little thing at this church they was doing, where you walk through and you see how people around the world live in other societies. And that gives you a chance to expound upon that and say, oh, well, how are they living in Uganda? Or how are they living in Ecuador? Well, where is Ecuador? Or where is Uganda? You know, and then you can have a whole conversation, a dialogue about the economics of the situation.
Because at that age, they're going to ask questions.
Do you see what I'm saying? You can talk about geography at that point. You can explore Uganda and talk about the history of Uganda. Now your kid is over here with his friends talking about Uganda, and you know the average Joe don't even know what the heck Uganda is. What is a Uganda? Is that a new car? A new song that came out? You dig what I'm saying? So I think it's very important for us not only to educate our children, but to educate ourselves so that we can put that into them. So it's a constant, I say this every show, it's a constant growth cycle. We grow, they grow. You invest in yourself, that allows you to invest in your children.
And do you think that, I think a lot of people incorporate the hood with love, because that's typically where you were raised, that's typically where your family is. And when you move out of the hood, there's somewhat of a separation from those people that you've established yourself with, because they're still in the hood. So that's the established point of love. That's where your heart's supposed to be found. Anytime you're saying I'm going back to the hood, it's a symbolism, meaning that I'm going back home. But if you look into your history, a lot of the so-called hooded areas were once areas that were not, and I hate to say it, but predominantly black, because the hood is referenced as predominantly black term. But those are areas that weren't predominantly black until we got the opportunity to live in them, and unfortunately we got into them, a lot of us, and didn't take care of them as well as we should have. Well, typically what happens is what's new is where you tend to strive to go to. Like, nobody wants to be in a 1988 car and we're sitting in 2017. Well, that's the hood. a lot of the newer areas are more developed because they're continually to evolve. You go out into your Planos, you go out to your Friscos, you go out to your Little Hams.
Right.
All of these are newer areas. They're newer developments with warranties, with technology that's advanced. When you go back into the neighborhood, these are still homes with lead paint, with people that are health hazards. Those are situations. Do you really want to subject yourself to that particular area? And typically when you're moving out to a Plano or to a Little Ham, these are indigenous areas that were black owned anyway, that have now been taken over by a particular area for development, whether it be by eminent domain or some other ulterior motive or source for development for those who are worked in previously in urban cities or areas to move out to the suburbs as a cause to segregate themselves from the inner city. So there are a lot of things that tie into that selling out, moving out of the hood. When you're talking on a social standpoint, when you're talking about getting out of the hood, you're talking about somebody not establishing themselves well enough to go beyond a border in which they're comfortable in. You as a man, you have to feel comfortable enough to not sell out, but to sell in to progression for those that surround you. Nobody wants to be stagnant. And overall, when you're talking about the ability to get into a position where you're trying to encompass the best life that you can for those that you live with and those that you love, sometimes you got to change your surroundings. So I don't think it's ever selling out when you're moving out of the hood, but don't forget where you're from either, because you still have people that don't want to move around.
To
Is it-
piggyback on that, what you're saying, I agree. But there are some things that we have to pay attention to and notice. Usually, when we start to inhabit an area and we start to grow, if you notice, they start pulling the resources from that area and moving them to another area,
Right.
which is what creates your hood.
Right.
Like you said, when they were the European areas,
Right.
they had the nicer stores, they had the educational things. Slowly but surely, as we start to evolve financially and grow and get on those levels, now what they do, they start pulling all those good resources out of that area.
Right.
And what happens, they move in the negative influences. When you go out into into a nice area, you don't have the corner liquor store, the corner beer and wine store, the smoke shop. You don't have all that. They want to keep that, what they consider negative element, down with the lesser income individuals. Creating an opportunity for them to self-destruct. But the other thing on that is, when we do make those transitions, key points you said, same thing to piggyback with what Ivan was saying, is you still have to make your children relevant to who they really are.
Right.
Because again, like him, my children, Arabic, Indian, Hindu, Chinese, Japanese, these are my son's friends.
Right.
When my son started school, it was only 3 black children in the school.
Right.
So here it is, you have to stay conscious because they're being taught a whole nother genre than what we're familiar with.
Exactly.
And I have this dialogue with my family because they always want to say, like, your kids talk so proper and they're just so, and I tell them, I say,
Right,
well,
right.
the only thing that my kids need to know about the hood is their father. That's it. I mean, I always say it's a difference in being from the street and from the block. Just because you grew up in the hood don't mean you participate in the hood things.
Let me ask this. It seems like there is a certain level of respect that comes from somebody who is from the hood or from the streets. Now, I definitely respect somebody who is able to pull themselves up out that situation and graduate and go on to other and bigger, better things. But it seems like there's a certain, like I said, a certain sense of respect for somebody who doesn't leave the hood or doesn't, quote unquote, sell out. What does that come from? Is that a media influence? Is that a music influence? You know what I mean? Like you said, someone said your kids talk very proper. I mean, if somebody said that about my son that's gonna be born soon, I would be kind of offended. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean by it?
But see the thing about that, if somebody says that, I mean, what does that mean? Like, oh, you talk proper, or you you talk white. What does that mean?
Right.
Like
The whole
honestly,
thing
like
is,
what does that
It's
mean?
nothing to be offended about. It just
Yeah.
means that they can carry a conversation, which means that they keep themselves relevant, to betterment.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't knock anybody for being how they are and who they are. There's a saying, God bless the child that's got its own. So if you got a coin laundry in the hood and your conversation is about 40s and blunts and stuff all day long, and that's the conversation you carry, but you got a coin laundry that's making you money, that's where you live. That's where your genre is. If you're in stock trades and you're talking about profit and loss margins all day long, then that's where your genre is. Like for me, I have to make my kids understand that, listen, where we live and how we live is not real America. It's just a small portion.
Right.
My son has had his first taste of bullying,
Right.
6th grade this year.
Right.
And now we're dealing with, some real stuff. And I have them understanding African American dialogue
Right.
or black movement.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, listen, you're loved and you're respected by all of these others, but as you grow, you're not going to be seen as this lovable kid anymore. You're going to be seen as a strong black man, which is going to strike fear in a lot of people who used to love you.
Yeah.
It's going to create a boundaries, where you can go over, Tommy's house and play with Tommy and his sister Susie now. When you hit 14, 15, and you're understanding that there's a difference between men and women, they're not going to want you around Susie. It's a thin line in the raising and culture of it, but it's a reality.
It is.
So are you, like you said, are you really selling out, or are you making things sometimes a little more difficult for the transition? People think just because you move in a better area that you got it better. No, it's a lot of challenges that come with that.
Absolutely, but challenges make you stronger.
Yeah,
You know,
they should.
They should, but you think about it too. Like if your kids, like you said, they got Indian friends, they got Asian friends, and that's good to have that diversity. And like you say, it just comes back to educating your children. But you have to have that diversity, because when you get in the real world, you're gonna have to have dealings with people that don't necessarily look like yourself. So you got to be able to communicate and do certain things like that. So because you're not always gonna be surrounded by people that look like you. Or
That's
think
right.
like you and act
Talk
like you.
or they got the
So-
same political thought.
Right,
as
you know what I mean? So you got to be able to handle that diversity. So,
And to answer your question, when you're talking about an individual that comes from the hood, the perception is it's a gladiator. It's almost as if when you are in the hood, unfortunately, you're dealing with some demographics and some economics that cause people to be at their lowest point of their souls in order to survive on a day-by-day instance because of lack of economics, lack of resources. You find
Yeah.
a lot of kids that'll join together that'll literally feed off of one in order for them to survive, because you don't know what's going on in the 5 zone. So it's perceived if you make it out of that situation, you can make it through anything. And moving into a suburb from a neighborhood such as that, see, raising the suburbs is a little bit different because the hood is a little bit more physical, but when you're in the suburbs, it's a little bit more technical
And
because
political.
you get the opportunity to learn the business side, but you don't have to go out there and fight Tommy every day. When you're in the hood, you gotta fight Joaquin every day.
You
So
know?
it's a perceived perception that not only are you already from moving it from the neighborhood into a suburb, it's already perceived that you're physically dominant, but now you're also defensively dominant as well as offensively dominant. So a lot of times that says, hey, this guy is prepared to do anything at any means. So that creates not only a certain level of respect, but also a certain level of fear. But it also creates a certain stigma in your head that I'm invincible, which unfortunately that leads to just as much trouble as actually being in the hood, because now you're with people that don't know how to litigate, or people who don't know how to keep you at to build you up, basically. You have people who even lay it down quicker than the ones that were in the neighborhood. What that puts you in a position is a perfect position to be jumped by #1 gang in America, which is your local LA or DP or LE or Plano Police
Po-po.
Department.
Right.
Yeah, so you have to be very careful when you're talking to your kids as well as realizing yourself that things change as you move up. But again, going with those economics, you know, when you're talking about the hood, you're talking about, as Will was saying, you're talking about a lack of resources. You're talking about when you want to take your mother from the neighborhood to the best hospital, you're not taking her to the neighborhood hospital. You're taking her to the hospital where the white folks go, which unfortunately that's not in the neighborhood. And the reason is because that neighborhood is in a position where it's on a down ticket, because typically that's the area that was hugely populated by those who are not of African American descent. And at one time it was a booming neighborhood, but now you're getting to a position where things are not on a growth increase. It may be stagnant, but it's not in a position where it's a growth. And anytime you're not growing, as Ivan always say, you're stagnant. And whenever you go into a community where you do have suburbs, every time you look up, it's a road that's being built or a new building being constructed. That's part of the growth, and that's what you want to be part of, growth, because growth around you is growth within you, because you tend to emulate whatever area you're in. And that's what a lot of people, I know myself, move to the suburbs for. You move for that growth because you want your kids to witness that growth. You don't want them to be in a position where they automatically assume this is what I should be. If you're going to assume you should be anything, you want to assume you're going to be the higher of what society has to offer.
I think what's important, just to kind of switch it a little bit, that the individuals that do live in an area that's not necessarily your Friscos and your Planos and your Little Elms and your Prospers. I think what's important is that you get out of those areas and experience stuff that's outside. Because I remember a while back when I got my first job out here in Dallas.
What side of town was it on?
It was in Plano, over there off Legacy, and my boss was taking me and another guy to lunch. You know, it was a little job we had in the good ritzy area, and we're driving to lunch and we're going through this subdivision, and this gated community was on both sides. It was these brick walls, gated communities, and these huge mansions. You know, and I'm driving past them. I knew that they were houses. You know, I could identify with that because I traveled. I've went over the whole East Coast. When I was in Detroit, I'd go to Grosse Pointe and I'd travel up, you know, Jefferson, and Jefferson would become Lakeshore Drive, and you got Lake St. Clair over here, and you got all these big mansions over here. We would just do that just so we could see the houses, and we'd stop at the lake, go fishing, and chill. Well, the thing is, as we driving down through this area, he's looking at these houses. He's like, wow, those are some nice apartments. You dig what I'm saying? He couldn't conceptualize that people actually live in a house that big.
That big, yeah.
And now, mind you, this bro lived maybe 30 minutes away. And you got brothers that's in South Dallas, Oak Cliff. In Detroit, you got brothers that's on the east side, west side, you know, that's living in the hood, and they have this perception for some reason that, you know, 30 minutes out in this nicer area, for some reason it's like this like trip you got to get an oil change for.
That's unimaginable.
Yeah, it's like this is way out of town. Like, no, this is right across the street, bro. And you can create that where you at.
Like, it's not unattainable for you.
You can get that in the hood. We could get that in the hood. The problem is that we have to switch our mind. We have to switch our thinking. We have to understand that exists, that type of lifestyle exists. And sometimes we got to watch the programming that we watch, because the programming we watch programs our mind to think that this is how we supposed to be. You know, if you just take time out, just turn on NPR on the radio, 90.1, turn it off at 97.9 and 105 to be. Turn it off of that for a second and just go and listen to what other people are doing, how other people are living, and don't criticize somebody who's doing that.
Right.
Don't say, oh, it's this motherfucker, he think he bougie, he think he better because he's using them big words. Nah, dog. Everybody don't live like that, bro. Everybody don't live the way we live in that situation. We all ain't living in the mud, bro. And you don't have to live in the mud too.
And sometimes it takes a little bit of conversation, you know, because you only know as much as the person that you speak to for no reason.
There you go.
So if you speak to somebody, you might get enlightened on some things that you don't know. You know, so and then like you said, they're not privy to that because they don't see it, they don't experience it, they don't know that it exists. They think that it's only on TV, so they can find to their environment, and this is how it's supposed to be, and that's foreign to me. But like I said, you speak to somebody, and it'll open up your eyes, man. You can obtain whatever you want to obtain. So,
And the thing is that you got to know how to communicate with them.
yep.
You see what I'm saying? We so used to.
But not only that, you can be yourself.
You
be
can, and they'll
yourself,
respect
man.
that.
You can be yourself.
But you got to be able to. You have to be able to approach somebody in such a way where it's like not offensive. Sometimes we can approach an individual who might be on this level here and we on this level here, but we don't know how to communicate because we're so used to communicating in a style, fashion, or form where we can't have a general conversation.
Come in close.
You know, all I know how to talk about is Jordan's, Rick Ross album, the Kendrick Lamar album coming out. Like how we just had these little news segments. HR 861, HR 899. Learn about that. Learn about what's going on in the stock market. Learn about the fact that the Affordable Health Care Act didn't get passed or didn't get dismantled.
But that's not cool, Ivan. It's not cool to talk about those
And that's the
things.
thing.
We too busy want to look cool. We don't want to look stupid or lame, or are we afraid to look smart?
Exactly.
We want to act dumb.
What makes that uncool? I know a sister. She has a son. They live out in Louisville, you know. And I sat and I talked with the brother for a second. You know, we in the car, we chilling, eating some hamburgers, waiting on his mom, and you know, I'm having a conversation with him, and he's living in this nice ritzy area, but for some reason he has this perception that he needs to be some kind of thug or act like a thug because all of the programming that he's watching is showing him that this is the way that a man should act. And that's why I said that earlier too, brothers. We really need to get in these streets and grab these young men. We got to grab them. I know we got our own families at home. We got our own children. We got our own daughters and sons. But it's kids out there that look just like us, that ain't got daddies, that don't see black men that's sitting here having a conversation or a dialogue in an intellectual form. You know, yeah, we got our cigars. Yeah, we got our drink. But we still know how to approach a situation enlightened. We don't approach a situation as an idiot. And they need to see that. Because everybody you see on TV that looks like you and me ain't ignorant.
They're not talking like this.
You dig? So it's important, man. And I encourage any brother that has some kind of sense or knowledge of self to just get out here. You don't have to do something huge. You don't have to do a Colin Kaepernick and send 80 tons of food to Somalia. All you got to do is just touch one kid.
We'll have a conversation.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. Referee a basketball game. Be a coach. That's it. That's all you gotta do. You can live in the burbs. That's fine. We live out in the burbs. That's fine. But go back home. Remember where you came from. Go back there and do what you need to do so that you can take care of those that look like you. And let them know, hey, you can be like this too.
In response to your question, Jay, about that unsung respect for the hood, it's like the military. You know what I'm saying? People respect the soldier that's been to war. It's no different. You know, a cat that come off the block, grinding, you know, getting it, it's a respect. Because they automatic, first of all, when you're black, they assume that you had to do some underhanded stuff in order to attain. That's just an automatic myth. Because that brother might have been working 3 jobs. You know what I'm saying? He might have been a security guard at night, flipping burgers in the day, cleaning houses on the weekend, cutting grass through the week, you know, do what he had to do. But it's the fact of his hustle that they respect. And usually when you're busy, you know, you don't have time for a lot of nonsense. So people take that as being hard because your conversation is real short and it's curt. So they think that's hard. No, you're just taking care of business. You know?
So is there the same level of respect for the college kid, the bookworm, the kid that don't like to hang out, that just is a homebody, that, you know, wants to just kind of sit home, take care of his grandparents? Do y'all think that there's the same level of respect for that kid that's on that path?
Not at all. Should be.
Why is there a difference though?
Because again, that kid is not in the, no pun, but he's not in the circle.
Not only that, it comes back to what Ivan said. Programming. We've been programmed.
Hey, Nick. Late ass Nick.
Come on, jump right on
Hey,
in, bro.
our boy Tori's in the building. You know what I'm saying?
He made
What's
it.
up,
Some
man?
wings or something, bro.
Fresh as ever.
They like
Hey, man, glad you made it, bro. You know what I'm saying?
But again,
Oh, yeah, we
it's
live,
rolling,
brother.
Let's roll.
live, bro. What's happening?
So listen,
Smelling like you just got out the shower, you know what I mean?
the thing
Smelling
is,
good.
Bond number 9.
No homo, you know what I'm saying?
the thing about it is, that kid's not in is not in the circle. They're not in the limelight. They're not running with the group of others that are doing things. Why? Because they got an agenda. You know, it's hard to be an A student and hang at the club.
And the perception is he's sheltered.
Right.
The perception is that you're not out there getting it the hard way as the rest of us. And going back to your example, when you move into the city, you know what I mean? If you're moving from the hood to the suburbs, it's easy to get a little bit more acceptance because they feel your grind is as great as theirs. Like you earned it, like they earned it. The perception is always that unfortunately people of color are lazy, in which typically we are. We get to a position, and that's what. And no disrespect to the hood, because I love the hood, and I would live in the hood had I not had a greater perception of what the world offered. And unfortunately, that's what happens when you get into the hood. You get comfortable with your surroundings, and your expectations become a little bit less than what they should be. And not only that, your mind isn't open enough when you do get to those situations to see that this is a position that you can be in. The thing about living in the hood is sometimes you will live in the hood, but when it comes time to get something new or something outside the hood, you don't want to frequent that local store. You'll go to somewhere different to come back to the hood to say, look what I got. What that means is you automatically put money into a different community. So therefore, you want to try to establish some particular point or some particular frame of mind that says to the people of the hood, like, if you don't have to move out the hood, but take pride in your community enough to make it as grander as a Plano, as grander as a Highland Hills, as a Highland Park. You can do that because basically that's all, when you talking about the gentrification that they're talking about, that's all that the people that are buying out the land are going to do. They're going to they're going to condemn buildings, they're going to knock them down, and they're going to put in some homes that are beyond your reach. That you can no longer afford.
And you know
So- Oh, my bad. That's a good point. And you had touched on that too about building up your own community. That the perception is in order to move up is you have to move out. How do we improve our own communities? What steps do we have to take to improve our situation so that we don't have to quote unquote sell out?
I think the problem is that we don't have a proper and thorough understanding of finance. I think if we understood, like, just let's say a house,
Man, you talk about
you know,
that.
being that I'm in the mortgage industry, I understand what the other side is doing. What they do is they take their house. Let's say you bought your house for $80,000. Now your value done went up to, let's say, $200,000. You got $100,000 worth of equity that you can extract from, and you can take that $100,000 and you can do all of the upgrades on your house you want to do, and you can make your house look nicer. You don't necessarily have to go and get a new house to make it look that way, and you can get that $100,000 worth of equity out of your house and probably get a lower interest rate. You could take your term and extend your term out. Now you might have been in the house maybe 5 or 10 years, and now your mortgage payment is lower, and you got $100,000 that you can work with. That you can, upgrade your house. You can start a business, go buy a car wash, go pay off debts, and do whatever you want to do with that money in order to make yourself better and make your environment, your community better. You look at these places; they're older communities, like in Plano. There's older communities, Highland Park, for example. You go down Greenville Avenue. They love Greenville. The other side loves Greenville Avenue. You go down there and it's an older home, but they've done these upgrades to the house to make the house look so beautiful, and the lawn looks so beautiful, and everything is just so upgraded, in the tiles and the stainless steel appliances and all of this stuff. And they in the town and country, country magazines and all of that stuff. Yeah. Home and garden magazines, and you're like, dang, how'd they do that? All they did was just get a loan on the house and paid it on time and kept their credit right, and they made their hood, quote unquote, look better.
But it comes back to financial literacy.
You gotta have that financial literacy, and one of the biggest problems, and I touched on it in the news segment on the Department of Education. One of the biggest failures of this country is the fact that they do not teach finance in the school system. You come out with a diploma and you know nothing about doing your taxes. You know nothing about budgeting. You know nothing about starting a bank account, a savings account, how to take a 401k, an IRA. You know nothing about these things.
Investing.
Investing, and now all of a sudden you grown now.
You don't even know how to pay yourself first.
You understand? And then we go to college, and they offering us credit cards for a Subway sandwich.
Right.
You go.
Well,
So-
it's not in their interest for us to learn that stuff, though.
At all.
They need to keep the debt cycle rolling.
Keep that going.
You know what I'm saying?
And the thing is that the other side,
Well, we gotta teach that.
the other side has been adapted and has been taught how to do those things for years and pass on wealth and equity and life insurance policies and create wealth for their children's children. And we don't know how to do that stuff ourselves. We need to pick up books. We need to turn off BET and watching them videos and go to CNBC.
That's
Read
not cool,
CNN
though.
Finance. Because
Listen,
that's how they
you
get
know what's
money.
not cool? What's not cool is being broke.
It ain't.
Struggling.
But that's all some people know.
You
It
know,
ain't cool to be dumb, nigga.
I'm gonna say uneducated. Listen, college isn't for everybody. We understand, but give it a shot. You know, the study we did in the psychology class, most of your multimillionaires didn't even go to college. But the thing they did is they worked harder than the next man at whatever craft it was they were into that brought them their wealth. You know, when you see somebody who's got it, if you look at them good, they're not really skinning and grinning and all that, because they're too busy working to keep it, to grow it. You know, I have to agree with Ivan all day long about moving to that next level. You know, and if you can't, put your seed in a position where they can. You know, it does. Like I said, it may stop with me. I may hit my level and I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So I'm giving it to the next one to run. It's like the race. When that baton is handed to me, I got my quarter to run. When I reach the end of my quarter, I'm doing what? Handing it to the next so he can run his quarter. That's what this is. That's what we're doing. That's why we're sitting here. You know, because we're going to hit these streets and teach these brothers how to run the right way.
Right.
Not run and hop and duck from the popo, but run so that we can grow.
What's up, Tori? You had something you want to chime in before we go to
man,
break?
I want to touch on that a little bit. It's like me and my man Ivan was talking on the chat. He was like, "So what's the solution? Get out." You know what I'm saying? Don't feel ashamed of it. Ain't nothing wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely grew up in the projects, OPJ, in a very rough area down there in South Louisiana. And nothing that wrong with progressing in life and trying to get further and doing better for you and your family. I'll be damned if I let my kids grow up in a situation like that where they gotta light a fucking candle at night to wash their face or something. You know what I'm saying? You gotta use dishwashing soap, you know what I mean, to wash and take a bath at night and all that. Man, fuck that. Nah, I live in the suburbs now. But at the
Already.
same time, like Ivan said also, why not pull out that house and you trying to ball out and flip your house and put the countertops and the wood and all that shit? Why not go back to the hood and buy in the hood? Invest in your neighborhoods then, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying forget about it. I'm saying get to a position where you could be stable, you doing for yours, you giving your children a better opportunity in life than what the fuck you had. But now you could reach back at some point and you could teach your kids how to build wealth. Not that quick, fast money. I mean white people wealth. Long money. You know what I'm saying? Something that steadily comes in day after day, no matter what. That's where I'm at with it, man.
Alrighty, man. And on that note, I think we're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back with y'all. All right, man. We back. We back. Hey, I want to ask a question. We can dig a little bit deeper into this topic. What we keep hearing this word sellout. What exactly is a sellout? Can we try to put some type of definition on that? What do you guys think?
I could give a true example. Look at my man's with Trump, the black dude, Dr.
Ben Carson.
Perfect example. He from the D. He know what it was like to struggle, and all of a sudden it's like he done caught amnesia.
Detroit.
Look at my man's the comedian. What's his name? Did the Kings of Comedy?
Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey. You know what I'm saying? That's selling out.
I can't relate to none of them niggas. Fuck that. Let's talk about these niggas in North Texas, man. You know what I'm saying? And we gonna keep it real. Let's keep it fucking real. Let's talk about these niggas up north.
When you
Fuck them.
I mean, hey, he in North Texas though. Steve Harvey, he got
Yeah,
a
he live
house,
out here. He
Little
live out
Rock.
here.
Yeah.
From here, though.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a perfect
This way-
example of
this way he got
somebody.
famous.
He from the
He's
Midwest.
somebody
This
who
way he got
sold
famous.
out.
Yeah, he grew up in Cleveland, true enough. He, he a true, Negro, but
You know what? A sellout is these new black niggas who like they ain't never had that pump it up spritz in their head, or they ain't had them boosie fades coming up. Move up north. They house broke. They got the Benz, they got the Jag in the driveway, and totally forgetting about their people. Forgetting about their hoods, forgetting about them young brothers out there that's looking up to them, and they out there living that lie. That's them sellouts.
Sell out to me is you compromising your integrity and who you are for a check.
say it again, bro.
That's what selling out is.
Say it one more time.
Compromising your integrity and your moral standards for a check.
So you saying like when Jamie Foxx and them put on dresses and lipstick, acting like broads?
Now, not if they really like wearing dresses. if that's their moral compass and they feel all right doing
I'm saying
that.
when they're asked
Okay,
to.
well, hey, since you said that, what if you not from the hood? What if you like what's that actor? Is it Tay Diggs? He's a real he was
Articulate.
real. He's not really articulate, but he's from like the Hamptons or some shit like that.
Right.
What do you mean like them Steph Curry niggas?
Well, would he be considered a
That's a great
sellout?
example.
Somebody like Tay Diggs, because you can't really say that he's compromised who he is
Kobe Bryant.
because he's right because he
Okay.
comes from a certain situation.
I mean, like I said,
It seems like you have to actually know a person. You have
Right.
to know a person to say if they a sellout or not.
no, if you made certain comments and you say that you stand on certain things, if you go back on your word, then for
Right.
a check, then obviously you went back on your moral standards. You know what I
Right.
mean? So if I say I stand for something, later on down the line, you see me opposing that or going against that because I'm getting paid to do that, then you can call me a sellout.
Right.
Okay, well, how many individuals really do we have out there that's willing to sacrifice that check and all that to do what we consider quote unquote the right thing?
Colin Kaepernick is one.
Dave Chappelle,
Oh, he's a great
Yeah.
example.
Flat
Great
out.
example.
There you go.
Great example.
flat out.
Great example.
You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't sell out.
But you know
Period.
what? Their situation is different because Dave Chappelle, even though he didn't get that $50 million, he went on the road and still made bread. He really wasn't hurting by turning that down.
No.
What about the guy who?
No. Not just the money. It's the whole principle behind the thing. That's what I'm talking about. I don't care who you are. $50 million is $50 million.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
lot of money.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we all know, listen, when you have nothing else coming in and you still spending out, you can go broke. Real broke. Not that fashionable broke. I'm talking about flat broke. So he stepped out there on the terms of being blackballed and all that. So he wouldn't compromise his integrity for that dollar.
So
Flat out.
what about the average person though? What about the average Joe?
Average Joe gonna sell their mama.
The dad that's struggling to keep the lights on to pay the bills.
You heard what I said. The average Joe gonna sell their mama because they really don't know anything deeper than, for them, self-preservation is the main thing.
Well, a sellout to me is when you have the opportunity on a consistent basis to make a decision that will benefit someone other than yourself among your same character, and you choose the opposite direction. I.e., I have the opportunity to help Trey, or I have the opportunity to help John. And I'm not saying I help Trey every time, but Trey is more of my resemblance, in my opinion. And 80 times out of 100, I choose John. Because literally, I'm looking at selling out as not helping the individual in my same position to make the best opportunity. It's not of benefit to me. Any situation that's not benefit, now see anything that's of benefit to you, I can't attribute that to sell out. But if the situation does not benefit you and you still do the decision that does not help or warrant the betterment of the individual that's next to you, I consider that selling out. When you forget vow from which you came,
Speak on it.
I consider
So what
that
you-
selling out.
So what you're saying is, you're doing the fashionable thing by helping John because you believe it's going to help benefit you better, instead of doing the moral thing and helping Trey, because helping Trey is going to help Ivan, which is gonna help JoJo, which is gonna help Marcus, which is gonna help Dwayne, you know, in that manner.
And also, even beyond that, I'm saying that
It's competition.
no, I'm saying even deeper than that. I'm saying to the simple fact that you believe that John and Trey had a similar obstacles to get to the position that they are in. I.e., I have a janitorial position, and I have John, who may have 10 other opportunities available, and I have Trey, who also has 10 other opportunities, but the other 9 opportunities are people of John's likeness, and my one opportunity happens to be of Trey's likeness.
Right.
Now, only thing I expect of Trey is to give me the respect and do the best job he can, even better than John, to show that this was the best business decision that I can make. And unfortunately, sometimes that's when we fail. And us as, you know, and this goes back to the hood. When you're in the hood, are you selling out? Sometimes we are so comfortable that we don't give that 10. And when I say that 10, most of us giving 100, but we're not giving 110 to make our situation better. And when you put yourself in a position that you are, unfortunately, sometimes we have to get that 10. That's the only way we're gonna be able to maneuver, because it's not a fair playing ground no matter how you start. No matter how quickly or when you start the race, they're always starting 10 yards ahead of you. So we had to do that extra 10% in order to gain that momentum. And when I talk about selling out, and just going back to the original topic, going back to the hood, you know, the reason that a lot of people like staying in the hood, because it's a comfortable position that you don't have responsibility or accountability. In the hood, you don't have your homeowner association. In the hood, you don't always have 25 police that's gonna make sure you wear that seatbelt, where you can't walk around smoking bud and drinking at the same time. You know how that relates to the next individual who you're riding with, or the individual that you are responsible for taking care of. All that plays part generational. So that means your child will also, because I believe in a water down effect. It's a waterfall effect. So as principles get lost, you might start with 100 principles. Next generation has 90 principles. Next generation has 80 principles. As in, you do vice versa, you begin to build your principles. You start at 100 and you go to 102. It may not be as rapid as the decline, but your incline is definitely an incline as opposed
So
to
on the
an
other
incline.
side of that, though, would you say that the reason some people stay in the hood is because they have access to resources that keep them afloat that they wouldn't have when they move out?
I believe that they don't understand the potential of the resources they truly have, because the resource is so minute. If they look at it on a larger scale, in a different position, that one minute resource could probably be 10 times in a different situation.
But you know what? I think that people need to put themselves in a position to be helped, though. I think a lot of people, specifically us in a lot of cases, is that we expect something for nothing. You know, I mean, you gotta be out here trying yourself, but somebody could see you doing the work, and they say, you know what, this guy, he out here, he might be in the mailroom, you know, but he getting up on time, he coming to work, you know, on time, he's taking lunch, coming back on time, he's working overtime, he's doing extra, and I ain't gotta ask him to do it. You know what, let me put a bug in his ear. Let me come up to him and tell him what he needs to do to get to that next level. And a lot of times we sit back and we like, well, why they ain't giving me nothing? Why they ain't hooking me up? Well, you ain't hooking yourself up first, guy. I mean, if you do something and put yourself forward and put the best foot forward for yourself, somebody gonna see that light. They gonna see you shining. They gonna see you trying. So they gonna try to help you.
So what about that dude that, you know, that's doing that? You know what I'm saying? That's working his butt off.
You gotta keep doing it.
But he
That's
knowing,
the thing.
he know in the hood, his kid want the Xbox 360. He can afford to go to Walmart, but he know in the hood he can pick that same thing up in the box.
That's where patience.
up, you know
That's
what I'm
where
saying?
patience comes
I can
in.
touch on that for you, man. Look, coming from South Louisiana, you could get really boxed in, really the trap, really. But at a certain point, you're gonna hit a ceiling, and you could be out there living ghetto fabulous. You could go out there and probably get the connect, and you could get the Xbox for your kid, or you could get this kind of plug on this and on that. But at some point in time, you're gonna sit in your son's face or your daughter's face, and you're gonna be like, "Well, goddamn, is it gonna be right here at this ceiling, or am I going to be a man and stand on my two and try to progress even further? Like how you said, Ivan, you know what I mean? You gotta wanna progress. You gotta want more out of this life thing. Not for yourself, but for the ones that's coming up underneath you. So you're gonna go over and beyond if you're a real man or a real woman. In my eyes, you
So
know
that's
what I'm saying?
that's moving out the hood to
And then-
progress.
and
No,
then-
no,
and then,
look,
you
no,
know-
no, look, I'm not necessarily saying that, but I'm saying this to say this though. Why would I keep my child in that same environment that that white man builds for us? Living in them same rent houses that's for them white people. Liquor store on every corner down there. Dope, weed, everything around my kids. When I could get them out of that environment, I could put myself on a better level. You know, hey, look, I may have to give a little bit to get a little bit too. You know what I mean? I'm going to deal with these people.
And here's the thing, you don't have to leave the hood in order to remove yourself from a toxic environment or a toxic situation.
Absolutely.
You could still live in the hood, and the dudes that's down there on the corner that do all that dirt, you don't have to do the same thing that they doing.
That's right.
You could do you. I think Russell Simmons got a buck like that. Do you? You don't have to do what everybody around you is doing. You don't have to do what people is telling you to do. You don't have to do what's the standard for your environment. You could do what you feel is going to take and propel you into the place that you need to be in life.
That's easy for an adult to think like that, but unfortunately, kids don't think like that.
Thank you.
And you can be in your kid's life and try to guide them the right way, but you're always going to have to struggle with those outside forces that are trying to pull them in the wrong direction.
Thank you.
That's why a lot of parents say, you know what, let me remove my child from this situation so that I don't have to constantly fight my child moving in two different directions.
And don't get it twisted. They could face that same obstacle in the suburbs.
Absolutely.
Right,
But at least,
they face
but
deeper
at,
ones.
But at least I'm giving them a clean slate to start with. You know what I mean? A better opportunity.
Let me tell
A
you
running
what-
chance, at least a running chance.
It's,
You know
different,
what I'm
it's
saying?
just different battles. you
Right,
know,
it was-
'cause progression is just a state of mind. You know what I mean? It's just different battles. Whether you're dealing with somebody outside
Hold on.
that's selling drugs or running numbers or whatever the case is, or you might deal with your child being the only black kid in their school. You know?
police every day.
Right. Or you deal with the fact that these kids' parents make the kind of money that can be detrimental to your kid, because these kids can afford to do what the heck ever. Which means they can get the best drugs and all that stuff. They can do all the detriment. They can take the trips unsupervised and get in all kind of trouble. But we want to look at progression. I'm gonna throw something down the field to YG, because this is a brother who come from the hood, the block, and he an engineer. You know what I'm saying? So how do you make that transition, bruh?
Because he hit that ceiling.
At the end of the day, man, I put my transition like this. Y'all put me on it, man.
Yeah.
It is not where you come from, it's where you at and where you heading. Because you can be from the hood, you can chill with hood people out there, all you niggas who drink blunts, 40, fuck with the bitches. You talking to an ex-pimp. Nigga really pimp these hoes out here. You can go on and on and on. But at the end of the day, when you make a choice to change your life for the better, because if you're not, I got kids now, I wasn't just thinking about myself.
Thank you. And
So
there
if
it
you're
is.
thinking about your younger generation and who you're gonna provide for, who look up to you, you're gonna make this decision, that choice that comes to you. You're gonna keep going down that way. Or you're gonna choose a better way. And when you find it, you get around. Thank God, I gotta say this. Thank God that I was able to kick it around millionaires, coming from the hood, kicking it with people who got goals. Because if you don't have goals, you're gonna work for somebody who has goals.
I want to ask you a question with that. You said kicking around with millionaires.
Right.
How did those opportunities open up?
Opportunities came with, actually, there was one cat I know named Reno. We both from the hood. At the end of the day, we used to shit and piss in buckets growing up. And let me put it this way: his mom used to work for the rich people, where it may be cleaning houses. This is Dr. Blackburn, if y'all know the dermatologist skin. You know, pretty much his son Caleb. I ended up kicking it with him. These are millionaires, man. And if I wanted to be diverse, because he gonna probably kill me for this, but I had to keep it real. He wanted to be hood so bad. And I was like, this is where our friendship fell out. I was like, nigga, I'm from the hood. I want to get the fuck up out the hood.
Thank you.
Why the fuck is you trying to sell a pound of weed?
Thank
And you're
you.
fucking, I mean, at the end of the day, but what makes it look cool, back to what Jason, oh, it's not cool. Nah, it's not cool to actually be the one in the books, actually learning whatever situation to get better and better yourself. That's not the cool shit because you're steadily blind. I don't even watch TV no more. Television that your kids is watching, that you think about that as a trend.
Say it again, bro.
It's a trend for all these other young adults to follow. All these fucking Kodak Blacks, y'all gotta forgive me. These whack rappers, I don't mind saying it to their face either if I happen to meet them one day.
Fuck them.
Yeah, man, because
Hey, but we ain't finna turn down no
Yeah.
money at the mix house either, you know what I'm saying?
Squad
Oh, we will, because our money ain't good money.
Yeah, hey man.
We'll turn down some of that shit.
Don't listen to that nigga.
Nah, but
No,
you
we
speak.
will. We'll turn that shit down. Some
I ain't
of
turning
them,
down shit, guys.
some of them whack ass,
Though, man.
suck ass. Go ahead,
You
Why?
speaking real right
My
now, right,
opinions
G, man?
have nothing to do with the mix house. This is solely drastic. So address me with the bullshit.
That's
But at
what's
the end
up.
of the day, man, look, if you hood, you can come out of that way of thinking by just actually being around people who got goals. Bottom line,
Yeah.
people who trying to do something better in life, go somewhere in life, be somebody in life. 'Cause I be in the hood, I kick it around the hood. I still talk to the little niggas in my hood. I be asking me for candy, I call them my little kids. Because at the end of the day, you still treat them people like they your kids, them little young kids. Because they like blank canvases. All them little blank canvases, I still remember people, Miss Hammond, my third grade teacher, that's why I brush my teeth. You see that white? Because she used to tell me, my dad kept all his teeth to the day when we buried him. It didn't make sense back then. I'm like, whatever, we got to brush it. And she made it brush our teeth. The moral of that story is what you can teach a kid at a young age something that they would take with them for the rest of their life and pass it down to the next generation.
Yes.
So remember, teach kids and keep learning, keep building. Hood or not. It don't matter where you at, where you going.
Already. Thank you for that, brother.
And I also want to touch on that too, Jackson. You was asking, you know, what does a intelligent brother get out of the situation? You feel me? And as far as he doesn't get his reward early. I think he gets his reward later. You know, a lot of times when you out there and you're young, you're looking for that instant because let's face it, every man wants to impress the girls. Even as a young boy, you want to impress the girls. But I think the guy who perseveres and he puts in that work early for later on as an adult, that's the man, unfortunately, sometimes you see at, 40, or fortunately, with that business. And he's getting his opportunity to shine. So sometimes roles, they just reverse. But you got to figure out what your balance is, and
Here it is, bro.
and when you figure that out, that's when you go.
This is what you're saying. My father asked me a question, and I'm gonna put this to y'all. Do y'all know what the golden rule is?
Treat others as you want to be treated.
Don't bite the hand that feeds.
Evade tricks, fuck bitches.
Fuck hoes, get money.
Talk on it.
Real
What's up, man?
shit.
Speak on
The
it.
golden rule is the man with the goal makes the rules.
That is.
That's it, plain and simple.
And that's the same thing with books. The winner writes the book.
That's it. I mean, when you are the head, the shot call. Ivan got a lot of, he the man with the goal. He got the golden rule. Why? Because he's continually striving for better. No matter what they pat him on the back and tell him he did, in a sales industry, you only as good as what you did that day. That's it. Because tomorrow they don't care if you sold $50 million today. Tomorrow they're gonna be looking at your ass for $60 million. It just don't stop, and that's all he's ever saying. Life don't stop, man. You know, $1 million ain't what it used to be 50 years ago. You know what I'm saying? We all talk that talk, but in reality, if you got $1 million a day, you could jack that off in a couple of cars and a house and be right back to a regular paycheck.
And let's just say you don't jack it on. Let's say you get the cars and you get the house and you still got 50 million. Are you happy? That's
It's
are
up
you
to the
really happy?
individual.
You know what I
That's
mean?
another show right there.
Right.
That's
It's
a
up
good
to the
topic.
individual. But
we
the
can-
thing
we
about
can
selling
break it
out,
down in this one. I mean, we want to have a goal to move out and get to the suburbs and the big house and going to these certain schools and shopping at these stores and being around certain people. that doesn't necessarily equate to happiness
No.
in a lot of cases.
And that's why I was touching before I left. I said selling out because, and I know we are suburb brothers now. Even YG, he's a suburb homie too. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying, have you ever just turned back in your mind? I don't even have to turn it back, but some of my happiest moments in my life have not been as an adult. They've been as a child, embraced by my grandmother in the most obscene places at the most obscene times.
Obscure.
Obscure. Not obscene. Yes, you bless me, Lord.
You was getting ready to put a weird twist on that with your grandma.
Hold on.
You say the same, and your granny the same. The same.
You say you from the South.
And that's why you keep brothers that read dictionaries. Hey, look here. So obscure. One of some of the most obscure times in my life was just listening to her. It's so fortunate that we have something that's called a circle. My grandmother used to sit at the head of her table, crack open a Miller Lite, and cook pig ears. You know what I mean?
Right.
Those are my fondest memories. Coming home from school, a pot of pig ears. You know what I mean? And be like, give me a Miller Lite. Let me tell you something. I used to have a real big complex. You know, I'm black, but you know, kids at school, when this is part of that hood thing, sometimes they brutally honest, but honesty is what builds your character because you learn how to relate and how to deal with it. And it's like, gosh, damn, your nose big. Yeah, it's like, took me a minute to get my mind together. You know what I mean? Maybe the first year, you got me. After I got tired of them girls saying, you cute, but I thought of my comeback. That's so I can smell your funk ass mammy when I see her coming out the room. I just didn't suck my Peter.
Wow.
So the thing was to get back at them harder than they got at you.
It was brutal.
Hey, you had to, because it was a juggler situation.
There it is.
You know? Every situation turns into a juggler situation when you in the hood because you have to leave no room for nobody to come back.
You gotta take it further than the next man with it.
That's right.
Already.
And once you roll those into the equation, then it becomes a little bit, you know, of a different situation. But just coming back, just the hood, those are my, and not necessarily hood moments, but moments that are less economical than the moment that I'm dealing with. And you always have perception that the more you get, the more happier you will be. But that's not always the truth. And that's, when you're talking about selling out, I think that we sell out in our mind because we believe that money or that position or that home or that car or that particular girl or that accessibility to certain things in life will grant us happiness.
Yeah, that job.
That's everybody's eternal. That's everybody's lifelong goal to feel happy and comfortable, stress free, so that you have more life to live.
You know when I'm most happy? At 3 o'clock and at 4 o'clock every day. That's when my sons hit the door.
Yeah.
You know, when I was doing corporate America, my daughter, I could have my butt handed to me all day. Tire go flat, you know, car don't start, boss on my head, deadlines I'm about not to meet. When I hit that door and I see that smiling face and I get that daddy, I love you, all the rest of it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Every day at 3 and at 4 o'clock when they hit that door, hey Dad, love you, how was your day? I'm like, how was your day?
Yeah.
You know, in the morning we pray together. You have a stellar day.
Yeah.
Dad, I hope that your day is great. Hope your business ventures work out for you.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it's about for me. Everybody may not agree or have that or whatever. I wish that everybody would have some joy every day in their day. Not just some happiness, that's temporary. Joy is everlasting. You know, I've had the pleasure of having 2 of these brothers sit in the backyard with me. You know, that's my zen, a sanctuary. We sit in the backyard and we chop it up and we kick it. But it's for the fact that it's brothers that don't have the opportunity to have any peace in their life because they always hustling, going, doing. You know, they getting it from all sides. And for men to be able to sit down, relax, you know what I'm saying, and have a lemonade, beer, cigar, whatever, and just breathe is a beautiful thing. Because what I always share with them is I say we blessed because we black, we gainfully employed, and we not in the system. So we winning off the top. We winning. Everything else is up to us. It's our decisions, the choices we make. You know? I love the fact that this brother Jay, I had to call him my big little brother. You know what I'm saying? Because he a damn gargantuan. I ain't too happy. I like talking to him when he sit down because he's so damn tall. But
Shit,
the fact,
try everybody.
but the fact that he's getting ready to step into fatherhood, it's a beautiful thing. It's scary for him, but I look at his passion with it.
He'll be
You know what I'm
fine.
saying?
He'll be fine.
You know, and what he does is he draws off the wisdom of those of us that already have it. So we're important to him, just like he important to us. Just like YG. I had to pull him out of the corner today because I said I'm not gonna let another show go by with all that wisdom sitting down there and he don't get involved. You know, I mean, real talk. When you talk about a cat, you know, young, and when I say young, I mean under 50, that's in a position of constant growth.
You ain't gotta be young. You know what I mean?
No, I mean I'm happy with it. When I say I know this cat sitting in this form. So when I look and I see brothers, you know, that have the opportunity for constant growth, his skills can take him anywhere. Every cat sitting here got a skill set that they can expound upon, they can build upon, that they don't have to be stagnant. If their job shut down today, they got something else they can jump into tomorrow. And that's a heck of a thing. And I love the fact my brother right next to me, you know what I'm saying, is an epitome of growth. He tell you up front, he said, I came not from the ghetto, I came from the O in ghetto. And look at me. You know, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a provider, I'm a friend. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I get from all these passionate men sitting here. Because believe you me, as well-spoken and outgoing as they are, they real men, they warriors. Ain't nobody up in here no punk by no means. None. And they prove that every day because they get up, go out and go get it.
Stem, gosh damn it.
God damn it.
So let me ask this question. I'm gonna just use Tori as an example. Husband, provider, father. You know what I'm saying? He lifted himself up from a certain situation. He just bought a house. Would you characterize that as gangster?
All day long. That's gangster to me.
You think that's gangster, Terry? What you think about your situation?
Trey made a good point. You know what I mean? First of all, it's man first. But after that, if you want to consider it gangster, well, goddamn it,
Say it
is
again.
gangster. You understand me?
Say it again. He
It's
said
gangster, goddamn it.
it's
Let me tell you
man
something.
first.
Man
I
first.
get up every day, stand on my two, I clock in, and I deal with them people. But let you understand something. I used to pour cement in the summertime with my daddy in South Louisiana. And if y'all don't know,
300 degrees.
that's some hard ass work, man. And I remember one day I was sitting out there with my daddy, and shout out Mr. Steve, and I told him, you know what, I'm gonna start my own business like this one day. I'm gonna have my own company where I go lay bricks and pour driveways and everything. They looked at me and bust out laughing. So I'm saying this right here. Them old schools, they laid down the foundation for us to progress. They wanted us to take it a step further. So why the hell I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna be like, God damn, you know what I mean? I feel ashamed for where I'm at. No, fuck that. I'm living it out for them. You know what I'm saying?
That's a real spit.
I'm living it out for that young kid that's out there on that block, back of Midland, Marydale, Crosstown, North Thibodaux, up to Bayou, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, whatever. I'm giving y'all the game so y'all can see. There's more to it. And there ain't nothing wrong with hooking up with them brothers that know them books. You know what I'm saying? Hey man, look. I ain't gonna say his name because he's a lawyer right now. I ain't gonna say the other cat name because he's an engineer right now. But their parents offered me an opportunity to go to college with them. They was willing to lay there and put me in a room with their kids. To send me to Southern University with them, to go to FAMU, to go to Fisk, and all this other shit. But having one foot in and one foot out, I messed up a good opportunity. Man, look, if you got an opportunity in front of you to get out and do something and progress, ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm telling you. Because I'm sitting on this side right now, Man, fuck being in the white people world, man. You know what I'm saying? That's all I gotta say on it.
And the whole thing is, I was thinking about moving out of the ghetto and moving into are you selling out? And it always puts me in that frame of mind of that Outkast song, And I don't know why that wall is always something that cannot be seen, but I feel like I've crossed that wall. And the song I'm speaking of is looking in my window. You see, I don't know if that wall was built to keep us out or keep
our ass in.
Right.
That was CeeLo who spit that.
Right. So look here. It don't matter what the wall is doing. I'm on both sides of the equation. Because I always didn't have that opportunity. If nothing more than me living in the suburbs, the fact that I didn't have that opportunity before, and I know somebody died for this opportunity for me to be next to you in your neighborhood,
There it is.
that's why I'm here.
There it is.
And even more than that, you know what I mean? Knock on wood, you know what I mean? But there are a lot. I know we harp sometimes on the white folk, you know what I mean? There are a lot of white folks that are paramount into the development of what has become our movement as well. At times you talk to certain people, they're like, the devil. Yeah, a certain percent I agree, but there are those that want to have a common goal as far as keeping this nation as a whole, as far as moving forward in progression, as far as the people. And what I mean as the people, I don't mean black, white, Hispanic, I mean as mankind. And sometimes when you integrate into that neighborhood, and I'll use my son as an example directly because his girlfriend, she Caucasian, you know what I mean? But I try to make sure he doesn't limit himself to that. Now, those my teachers, did I just teach him to just be with a black girl? I ain't teaching that either. But I teach him love those who love you, respect those who respect you, give what's given. And if you give me that love and that gratitude the same way that I give it to you, I can't do nothing but hold you as my closest confidant, my brother, my lover, my business partner. And when you're talking about the hood, I think a lot of people believe that the hood gives you some type of rank in black society, and it doesn't. That's not my be-all, do-all. And you got to continuously grow as a man. I hope that hood continuously has that love, but I wanted to get to a position where there is no longer a hood. It's just an area in which there are a certain amount of businesses that are owned, developed, guided, built, and strengthened by men of color.
Earlier we had talked about building up our own communities. I think one of the challenges that we would face in something like that is the fact that a lot of corporations are not where black people are. A lot of these corporations reside in the suburbs. So, and because those corporations are in the suburbs, you have a lot more development, you have a lot more money. So how can we overcome that obstacle in regards to bettering our communities and turning the hoods into a place where you want to be?
And first of all, man, you better learn to play the game. Learn the rules to the game before you jump out there trying to play it. I don't care what it is. What I hear a lot of, like living where we live at, everybody got a partner that you would love to hang with, but they be like, man, you live way out there and them laws out there ain't cool. Well, then get your driver's license straight, man. Mm-hmm. Get them warrants up off you so you can travel without having to be sweating and looking over your shoulder. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Listen, learn how to do what it takes to elevate. If all you want is 40s and blunts, then hang around dudes doing 40s and blunts. I want to hang around cats that's buying jets and going to Paris. So that's why I'm going to hang around people that's achieving those things. I don't care about your color, your ethnic background, listen, none of that. If you give me an opportunity to learn what I need to learn in order to elevate myself, I'm going to get it. Mm-hmm. And if that means that I got to keep my mouth closed and just observe, that's what I'm going to do. Because when it's my time, I'm going to take the reins and I'm running with it. Flat out. It really makes no sense in not achieving. You're your own worst enemy. If you don't achieve, it's because that's where you limit yourself. Flat out. I even tell us, we kick it a lot. And we always go with this thing of, listen, they make this simple analogy. If you want to hide something from a black man, put it between the pages of a book. I hate reality TV. I don't think it's nothing cool or cute about it when you have black individuals on a show that they're getting a check and they act like pure buttholes for that check. They selling out. They selling they selling our culture all down the drain with all this ignorance.
I love
That's a political issue though
I know
that
what-
you just raised.
I'll get back
Because
with you on that
because
too.
when you say well, all of the jobs that are in the suburbs and why aren't any jobs here in the hood, the reason why is because we're not holding our politicians in the hood accountable. We expect to elect them and them to just take care of us. We have to be there at them town hall meetings. We have to be there at calling in to their offices and telling them what it is that we want. And if you ain't giving us what we want, we gonna get you out of office. The reason that them jobs ain't in the hood is because they aren't incentivizing those companies to come there.
There you go.
So if they incentivize those companies to come there with tax incentives, tax
There you
breaks,
go.
things like that, and showing them, hey, we do have a group of individuals who have the talent to work at these places, then those companies would build there. So the problem is not the fact that they don't want to, it's the fact that the politicians aren't being held accountable to bring those businesses and those companies
But
into
are you
those
gonna
areas.
limit yourself to that? If you live in Dallas and the job is in Plano,
Oh, of course not. I mean, you're gonna have to take that ride, but in the same token,
You
we need
develop
to
that
be
in your own
involved in the
community.
political process more so than just voting. Like Trey said a couple shows
Absolutely.
ago, I don't vote, and I can get that, but if you are voting, it's more to voting than just going down and casting a ballot. You also need
the
to
scribbling on
need
the
to
ticket.
hold those local politicians accountable and not expecting them to just hand you something. You got to let them know, look, you work for me, dog. And that's something that I've noticed in these suburban areas and with these white folks. The other side, they hold them folks accountable.
Yeah.
And if they ain't giving them the stuff, it could be a pothole in the street and they causing a ruckus.
They put money behind it.
That's right. And we need to understand it's more than just you voting, players. There's a whole lot more to that.
It's a bigger picture, man.
And
like
you-
you said, you gotta know that game before you play it.
And when you do it, I mean, when you're talking about desirables, you want to make sure your last desirable is the most desirable. When you're talking about a community that's fresh on its limbs, you're talking about a new property that's able to be developed. No one, even myself included, I love the hood, but shit, when I go into the local dime store and it appears as if things have been outdated at that particular location. They're holding their stock outside of the store. It's not even behind the doors. You got things that are out of place. I'm talking about make your area desirable before you talk about those price cuts. And I'm talking about from a visual standpoint, things are just as important as it is from a social or economic standpoint. It's almost like a woman. When you're using a woman as an example. Yeah, you got two nice looking women, but if one for some reason has on a yellow and a pink top and the other has on a completely yellow outfit, you go on with the one with the completely yellow outfit because you see beyond her as just a woman who looks well. You see her as someone who's organized. You believe that's a pattern that develops into her life. So us as a community, we have to not only uplift from abroad, we have to hold the congressmen accountable, we have to hold our politicians accountable, we have to hold ourselves accountable. Because again, the overall goal, this should never be a position when you talk about, because I listen to these brothers from Detroit quite a bit, they always talk about there is no social divide. All the neighborhoods are the same. That's how, that should be the focus of where we are as far as Dallas, and I'm talking specifically about, but as a whole, there should be no divide. There should be a lot of areas where you see this as well as you see that, but there's a common area that area is the most, and the development and the economics is the most important thing on the agenda. And I believe that a lot of people that are in the hood place the hood above anything else. Is it that important that you stay in the hood? I live and I die in the hood. It can't be that important. You trying to tell me you willing to give up generations because you're not ready to go beyond 635? You gotta reassess.
Goddamn.
And
I agree with you, bro.
and it goes with happiness again. You gotta figure out what makes you happy in your life.
But guess what? Ain't nothing wrong with having that mindset if you have an agenda behind it. If you go and say, you know what, I'm gonna go do this because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work this and I'm gonna show them that there's value and I'm gonna bring that back to the hood
That's
to
such
create value.
Man,
You know, and that's what we lack. We so busy running out that we not realize, hey, listen, they want you out because the value is really there. You just gotta have that agenda to say, you know what, I may have to put this 10 years of work in, but once I hit this level, now I can go back and say, hey, we're gonna develop this area, and we're gonna develop that area, and we're gonna set up this program to teach. The one thing that I noticed that really irks me more than anything is when I go into a fast food restaurant, which I don't frequent that often, but when I go to a fast food restaurant in the suburbs, the treatment is way different than when I go in the hood. We went the other night, I was playing cards. Brother was like, listen, I'm gonna run over to Burger King and grab some grub for everybody because I know it's late. He come back with ice, juice, water, some chips. We're like, where's the food? He said, man, they don't have a cook. I'm like, Burger King, you can't get a burger, they don't have a cook. He was like, man, the cook walked up, they ain't got no cook.
No, was you at?
I was South Dallas.
One part.
I don't even know, bruh. My man took me, it was late, but I was like, come on. What are you Listen, if it was in the birds,
customer service, is
the
bad.
manager, the owner would have been up there cooking. He'd have had his sister in them and, hey, listen, honey, we got to go, we got to do this. They ain't going to miss out. You know how much money they missed out on?
Yeah.
Hey Trey, you know, as we sit here and talk about, you know, building up our own communities and building up our neighborhoods, you're from Oklahoma, right? Y'all had something up there known as Black Wall Street. Can you tell us about what that was and the importance of that and the significance to the black community?
Oh yeah. Well, with that, it started out with a farmer. He had acquired some land, and what he done was with the land, he only sold it to other African Americans. He didn't sell it to anybody else. And they started developing their own schools, hospitals, barbershops, restaurants, anything you can imagine, banks. And what they done was they separated themselves from whites pretty much. And they developed their own community and they thrived. They were doing well. It got to a point where they were doing so well that the whites were actually losing money because of this. So they decided that they wanted to burn the whole strip down, because it wasn't like, now the city is Tulsa, but it's not that big. It was maybe 3 blocks now, but it's on the north side of town. But they came in and they pretty much just burned up the whole city or the whole town.
So, do y'all think it would be possible in this day and age for us to rebuild a Black Wall Street, for us to get back to that?
I think so.
I think so.
I think it's gonna take down
Rosewood.
What's that? Yeah.
Rosewood, the movie was the same thing.
Yeah.
Every time that black folks start to thrive,
Right.
they send white folks in there to tear it down and
Yeah.
despair, because our dollar is important.
Absolutely. We're the largest spenders.
Yeah.
We're the largest spender, but we don't spend it on the right things. You know.
So you think we could build a Black Wall Street?
I think it's gonna take the ones like us that's in the position that we are at right now, and keep the mind frame, like my brother Ivan said, keep progressing. Then once we play the game, get along for a little while, and then we take ours and we go back to our neighborhoods. You know what I mean? Show them that a dollar could be made. Show them that there's value in our communities. You know, build up our blocks. Get the rent houses. Take them back. You know what I'm saying? Put a business down there. You know, churches for the ghetto. Put the churches in the ghetto. You know what I'm saying? Get you a Chick-fil-A. You know what I'm saying? Just put something there. Get the land. Hold the land. And in time, yeah, we'll get to that point. But I think it's going to take the ones like us that's out here right now that's getting it. You know what I'm saying? But just don't get to the point where we are right now and forget where we come from.
everybody follow our lead anyway. We push the culture.
Yeah.
We are the decision makers.
Absolutely.
So like whatever we do, everybody gonna follow suit. So we gotta make sure that we spending the money in the right places and we supporting the right people.
And with that being said, so when you're talking about building that type of community, me personally, that's not what I thrive on. I prefer to thrive on a diverse culture. However, I want to be equal. You know, when I talk about equal, I don't mean equal as far as I can go in the same restaurant as you. I want us to be equal as far as when we roll past a police officer, he doesn't have a second thought of who he's going to decide to get beyond. I'm talking about equal as far as when I go in a restaurant, he's not concerned with, am I going to pay? I'm talking about equal as far as thought process. I'm talking social. I'm talking economic. I'm talking about psychological. And when I'm talking about building, I'm talking beyond just physical building. I'm talking about beyond a particular city of our own. I'm talking about a mindset. I'm talking about a mindset of nurturing your credit. I'm talking about a mindset of setting a long-term goal that you nurture into a succession that is going to succeed. I'm talking about being so steadfast that you're generationally building a position where you have a stronghold in this economy, such as the Rockefellers, such as the Kennedys. I'm talking about positioning yourself where you no longer become known as being a society that's of people that are lazy and people that go to jail, but a society of overachievers and those who do things beyond their reach. I'm talking about changing the culture, a mindset. I'm talking about putting so much in your mind that you can't bear the thought of being unsuccessful. I'm talking about engineering yourself, within ourselves, to a point that everything that they've done, we do it, and we do it even better.
Right on.
Yeah.
This is some good conversation, brothers. You know, we need to continue this. But let me go ahead and get this in, man. You know, we work real hard to bring this show to the people, you know, and if you like what you see, you know, you can come down here to the Mix House and get you a podcast, get you a video podcast, and do what we do. You know, we offer a lot of services here: recording, mixing and mastering, custom beats, songwriting, jingles and commercials for those small businesses. And, you know, if you want more information, go to themixhouse.net. That's mixhouse.net. So now it's time for that segment known as I Said That to Say This. So what's up, Monty? You got something for us this week?
I do. Been thinking about this all week. You know, I'm an advocate of going to the club, pouring up, you know what I mean, drinking, and getting to a position where I'm like, hey, I need this Uber. I need this Lyft. Because the last thing I want to do is be responsible for somebody, you know, losing their life because of my inability to contain myself and get out here and drive. Now, with that being said, I'm drinking tonight, but I think I'm well within my limit. But even going beyond that point, that leads me into a story that as I was with my last Lyft driver, and he was telling me, he's like, man, you're so different, but I learned a lot about you brothers when I went to South Dallas. And that's why I was asking my brother earlier. I was like, what part of South Dallas? He was like, yeah, I did a Lyft ride to South Dallas, and it's probably about 2 in the morning, but you know, with Lyft and Uber, they have to pay in advance. They're already paid. So I went to this real sketchy house. And you know, unfortunately, that's the language that a lot of people use when they want to say that they're scared. You know, he said, I went to this real sketchy house. Weeds were all over the place. And I sat out and I waited, and I seemed like I was waiting for 30 minutes until, he said realistically, it probably was 2 minutes, until I seen a light come on from the side. It was from the side of the house. And my first thought was to go ahead and get out of here. And he was like, hey, I'm in South Dallas. It's time for me to move around, because I know it's a position that, you know, a lot of people get robbed and mugged. But hey, I didn't have any money on me. So as I'm sitting there, I see this man coming out, and he has a cane, and he has a bag. And I'm thinking to myself, do I want to get out of my car to go help this old man? and the man is moving so slow. I decided to go help this man. So first thing I did, and he said, bro, I'm gonna be honest, is I took my keys out, and he said, I know I hit the button to lock my car 3 times. I surveyed the area to see if anybody was looking at me. You know, I don't want to be ambushed. And so myself, I'm listening to him, and I'm kind of feeling a little offended. So he says, but I walk over to the elderly man. He said, young fella, I don't need no help. I can get it. So he swings his bag around. He almost knocks me down. And I said, so what you do? He said, well, I let him walk, and I walked beside him. And he said, he begins to tell me this story. He was like, you know, this is a beautiful home. You know, I know I haven't taken care of it, but it's a real beautiful home. And, you know, it served its purpose. I raised a lot of kids here. And he goes into talking about his daughter. And I think he's trying to, you know, by some method, you know, hook me up with his daughter, which was, you know, and he just said, I'm just honest with you, I'm not black, so I couldn't see myself dating someone black, which I took offense to. And so, as he begins to talk, I'm walking with him. He gets in the car, and I'm thinking to myself, this ornery old man should have me take him somewhere else in South Dallas, because his lips were black and chalky and kind of foamy, but he still got in the car. He even reeked a little bit, kind of smelled a little bit. And so as we get in the car, I ask him, where is he going? He gives me an address. So I'm not really familiar with the area, but we end up going off of 2nd. And as we're going up 2nd, if you know anything about Dallas, you're passing, you know, the State Fair, and it gets a little bit more, you see a lot more people of your kind, and I'm getting offended even more. And so I'm saying, I can't let you keep talking about my people. He said, wait a minute, I'm getting to a point. So I keep letting him talk. And so he says, so we drive around and we go to the first address, and he stops for a moment and he says, hey, this is where I was born at. And I said, this is where you were born at? He said, yeah, this is where my mother and my father conceived me at, and I was born at, literally. So we go to another address, and he says, this is where I learned how to ride my bike at. And so he's telling me all these instances. He was jumping ramps. He's like, I fell and I bruised myself, but I got back up and I kept fighting. And so by the end of the night, he had taken me by 5 or 6 different houses, and he's on the clock, so I'm not really worried. I've gotten a little comfortable with him. He's talking, some of his words are slurred, unpronounceable. And so he gets to the last spot, and he tells me that he's a veteran. And as we're hitting the corner, I'm worried about, you know, is his car going to clear? Because by now we've surmounted about $250 worth of charges. And as I turn around and look at him, he's linked over, he's slumped. And when I say slumped, I mean he's gone. Eyes roll behind his head. And I'm thinking to myself, how I'm gonna get paid? And as I hit the corner, I see a sign that says hospice. And I realize all this time, this man was about to die. He just wanted to share his life with someone before he died. And I said this to say that small moments, large moments, short moments, tall moments are all treasures. You learn something about somebody, you begin to trust somebody. You gotta learn other people. You gotta sit down and take the incentive in order to incorporate yourself into somebody's culture, into something that they exist. Because I remember 10 years or so ago, even 20 years, cabs wouldn't stop for a brother. Now I'm sitting here in an Uber. And because of this man, I'm sure I have this opportunity. And I just said that to say this. I thank God for all the people who have given up their lives to give me the opportunity to be the man in the world that I'm in right now. Just take the time sometimes to talk to some of the older people and feel their experiences so that you get to that point. That's all I gotta say.
Alrighty, man. Alrighty. So, anybody have any closing thoughts or closing statements before we end this episode?
After that story.
Right, you really can't top that shit.
yeah.